entrepreneurs and professionals of Tampa Bay. Welcome to your hour for getting the information, the tools, and the connections for elevating your business. Welcome to Getting the Edge with Kelly Wilson. And here's your host, Kelly Wilson.
Welcome to Getting the Edge. I'm your host, Kelly Wilson. Thank you so much for being with us today. I know there are a million other places you could be, so we're very happy that you decided to be right here with us this evening. So again, thank you for joining us. Edge is brought to you by Edge Media Hub, Tampa Bay's local small business multi-platform media company specifically designed to assist small businesses with connections and gaining a voice and visibility in the community. We love and inspire to provide stories of inspiration and frustration and successes, trials and tribulations, failures. Really, we want to bring it all to you here on Getting the Edge. So again, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to All Trust Insurance, your trusted employees benefits partner. Thank you, Pilot Bank. Thank you so much, WeBeam TV, John Gaston, and the team at Tampa Bay MultiMedia. I've been a big fan of John's. I've been very fortunate to have worked with them over the last, 4, 5 plus years now. So I know through the transition and through this unfortunate time that we've been in, so many of us are looking for new platforms, new ways to connect with our teams, our clients, members, staff, and customers. So definitely consider having your own show similar to Getting the Edge, or for any of your video needs. You can contact John Gaston and the team at Tampa Bay MultiMedia. For more information about Edge, you can reach us online at edgemediahub.com. We're working towards our next magazine issues. Everything in the works right now. So we'll be doing a lot of updates and working towards hospitality and our second annual celebration of women that will launch later this fall. So stay tuned. You can sign up for our newsletters for more information. So really excited to be with you. I know, again, we're going through some difficult times. So working towards bringing guests and friends of mine that can share a bit of information, inspiration, and just kind of their views and opinions on where we're at, where we're going, and ways to kind of hang in there through this recovery stage and rebound as we start to take, as we continue to take positive steps forward. So really excited to introduce our guest today. For the first half of the show, we're going to have Santiago Corrada, President and CEO of Visit Tampa Bay, great friend of mine. The second half of the show, we're going to bring in Julie Weintraub with Hands Across the Bay and Golden Diamond Source. So I hope you stay with us for the entire show. So Santiago, hello. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you.
Hey, Kelly, how you doing?
I'm good. Hugs to you. I know this is killing me. It's so difficult as I am so personable and I'm a hugger, and being in the studio and not being able to be personable with everyone, it's difficult, but it does allow me to bring on guests that with busy schedules, it's hard to get everybody on. So there are advantages to zooming you in versus having you here sitting next to me. So, but thank you. So Visit Tampa Bay, how are you guys doing?
Well, you started with inspiration, right? So I want to start with the positive, move into kind of the current situation and how we're working our way out of the current situation.
Yeah.
And then the future, right? Because I think the future holds a lot of promise. So again, we were really, really moving through a new calendar year. We'd set 7-8 years of record-breaking tourism. February, in fact, just this February, we had the second best tourism month on record of all time. And so we were getting ready for a March that was going to crush all records. We had a dozen or so conventions coming into town, big sporting events. We had WrestleMania towards the end of the month. And then around the second week of March, the world changed for us here in Tampa. It had been moving from the West Coast, from other parts of the world. And then it finally caught up with us, that second week of March, where we saw so many cancellations, so many closures. And so that's kind of the situation we're working our way out of. In fact, we saw hotel revenues in March drop 50%. Yeah. And then we saw them drop in April right now about 85%. So we know that our industry has been really, really hurt. But I think, the silver lining to that is that now I think the entire globe understands the incredible value of tourism, the spirit of travel. It makes us all better human beings to get out there and explore this beautiful world. So I think now, people understand, it's not just about that personal experience. It's about the economics of tourism. The revenues that come into a city, to a destination, the amount of workers that are, that support the industry, that find themselves out of jobs. So number one industry in the world that's been affected by the pandemic has been tourism, hospitality, bar none. So many things exist under tourism, right? Hotels, attractions, restaurants, event venues, so many workers, so many people. And so, that's kind of the situation we found ourselves in at Visit Tampa Bay. We've had to make some tough decisions to have us be sustainable until we're ready for the recovery. And so we're right there waiting for the recovery. And, with this gradual reopening of Florida that we've started to see, the future is bright. I mean, we are on every webinar with every industry expert, and they're talking about the sentiments about travel. People want to travel. It's just, when are they going to feel confident enough and safe enough to get out there and visit destinations, either domestically or internationally?
It's interesting, Santiago. You and I had lunch, and I don't even remember. I guess maybe it was at the end of last year. And I remember you had just been to Vegas and for a tourism conference, and you had some slides, and we talked about, you were kind of warning me of, there was like an economist that you talked with, or that was there speaking. We were talking about downtime and just from future, recessions that we might have to think about, and just to be smart. And you were sharing this information with me. And I remember us thinking and saying, okay, great. We've got the 20s, to really focus on, building. And then, the 2030s may, according to some economists, may be difficult. But who would have ever thought, like no one could have ever foreseen something, like this, that.
Right. Right. It came out of nowhere, and it turned into a global shutdown, right? Which really impacted the world economy. The economists were saying maybe the first quarter of 2022, we might see a little slump. Right. Great 2020s, 2030s might be tough, but I think we've hit the toughest sooner than anybody really expected.
And just really unforeseen and just almost unrealistic. I obviously this is real and we're going through it, but it's definitely, and like you said, you visit Tampa Bay being at, in the city of Tampa for tourism, being at the top of its game, for the beginning of 2020, and so many business owners that I talk with, even us, for instance, we'd had our best December, January, and February and on the record. And the momentum was just amazing. And, you feel like you're just at such a great spot, and then I don't think many will forget that second week or right about mid-March when everything started crumbling, beneath us.
I think it's really highlighting a lot of things for people, right? I think it talks to the importance of personal interaction. You said it when you started the show. Technology was moving and moving and moving, and people were doing the smartphone thing and telecommuting and all these things, right? But now we know that it's really hard to exist just on the technology, that we really still need that interpersonal relationship, that interaction, and, the freedom. I've always said the United States is about two things: freedom and capitalism. And right now, both of those are really, really in high demand. The freedom to get out and the freedom to make money.
How do you see with us kind of transitioning? There's so many things I want to touch on that you've said. I hadn't put my glasses on so I can actually read my notes as I try to remember. Two things. How do you see? Because again, it is the virtual aspect of business. Is great because we are able there. As far as from a time efficient standpoint, we're able to get more meetings done. You're able to do more. But how do you see? I do see that maybe staying in some of our normalcy in business. business going forward. But
oh yeah. I mean, in the short term, I think it's going to be a part of the new business model,
Yeah.
And all the safety precautions. You're
Right.
already seeing people out there wearing masks. You're already seeing the social distancing, either by choice or out of choice, where you're lining up, 6 feet from other people, whether you're at the grocery store or you're trying to get into, some other establishment. You're starting to see it now with the reopening of restaurants where, outdoor seating, still with the social distancing aspect in place. So I think, yes, this virtual reality kind of thing we have going on, these virtual meetings, whether it's Zoom or Ring or WebEx, whatever we're using, I think will be a part of this short-term normal period.
Yeah.
But I think, individuals are going to yearn still for that business meeting with that face-to-face, the conventions, the social gatherings.
Yeah.
I mean, we're starting to see people that have that cabin fever already running out there and doing stuff like that.
It's difficult. I am a homebody anyway, so I kind of live quarantined a little bit. I'm definitely, I'm sociable as I need to be for business, but I'm equally as introverted as I am extroverted. But it's one thing to choose to stay at home. It's another to be told to stay at home. And that is definitely taking a toll. And, we do look forward to some type of, new normalcy, I guess, where we can bring events together and bring people together and, right exactly what Tampa's great for. Obviously, like we talked about at the beginning of the show, hospitality has been one of the biggest hit industries. Oh goodness, how are these hotels hanging in there? I mean, or what? And I know the growth has not stopped. We're continuing we have so much in development. I want to kind of talk about the future
Sure.
of Tampa as well. But how do they hang in there in the meantime?
Well, it's interesting. Some have temporarily closed. Others have laid off, 80, 90% of their teams, at 10% occupancy. I can tell you that in Hillsborough County, because we represent Hillsborough County, occupancy has been somewhere between 10 and 20% of the hotels that have remained open. And so they're getting very creative. I mean, they're multitasking. They're preparing for this new future, this new normal. They're doing the things they need to do to make sure these environments are clean and they're safe, because consumer confidence is critical. I mean, people are going to be anxious about going and visiting destinations. So I think all of that is in the works when some of our hotels have some of this downtime. And we have a great hotel community. They are generous. They are fantastic. And they will rebound. And you know what? This destination will be back. It will be back stronger than ever. As you mentioned, we have so many hotel properties under construction that are due to open, in the very immediate future. So I think, we're on the right path. And again, my hat off to all the hospitality businesses that have been able to weather the storm. And I'm hoping that they all get to reopen and again, have prosperous businesses.
Yeah, it's disheartening when you drive down the street and you notice, blank signs, and there was once a business there that is no longer there, and just the last 2 months have really taken a toll on the business community, and it's just, like I said, disheartening to see so many that just weren't able to stay on, or even just those that have been able to hang in there, but have staff and just team that they're worried about, and just the stress that comes along with that as you feel responsible for so many other people. It'll be interesting to see as we can begin. And I know even with our government officials, there really is no guidebook to tell us how to reopen or how to do anything. In their defense, they don't know what they're doing because they've never been through this, and really no one else has, unless you look at the flu, influenza that people dealt with in the early 1900s, which I really don't think we can compare that to where we are today. So, I mean, how do you, in your opinion, how do you, you are a part of one of the task force, I believe, as well, aren't you?
Yes. I've been on the Hillsborough County's Economic Recovery Task Force, one of the working groups. I chair one of the working groups. And then I had a chance to even call in on the governor's reopening task force to provide, a perspective on conventions and large scale group gatherings. But, I think everyone has done the best that they could do under the circumstances, right? You said there's no playbook. Right. This is an unprecedented situation. And, I want to say nationally, and even, here locally, that I think everyone's done what they thought was in the best interest of the community. and they did it based on the information they had at hand and had to make some tough calls. And some, took personal criticism. But when you look at it and you're objective about it, you know that they tried to do what was in the best interest of public safety and health. And you can't blame anybody for that. I mean, like you've said, this has never happened before. Yeah. The good thing is, I think that some guidelines are being prepared at the state and local level to give some guidance for these phased reopenings of our economy. So I think that's going to be critical, because people out there are yearning for that information. Hey, what do I have to do to open up my small business? What do I have to do to start welcoming groups and conventions and associations back into town? So I think those guidelines are really important, because people are looking for direction.
Yeah, and I think you're going to have people criticize no matter what you do. I mean, even the good job, it just doesn't matter. Everyone has an opinion, and with today's technology, they make sure that you're aware of it. Or they're trying to voice the opinions. But yeah, it is. I mean, again, talking and interviewing so many different people, I hear it so many different things, but I'm always trying to stay neutral and look at every side of it. I mean, who knows what to do in this? And all the people that are making these decisions can do are surround themselves with other great minds that can then help inform them of the research and just whatever they can think might be great to create phase 1, 2, and 3 as has been done. And how long do you see us in this phase 1? How do you see the near future looking for us as we get through even through the summer?
I would hope that we're in phase 2 and 3 sometime in the summer, right? We've just entered phase 1. It's May. I'm hoping sometime in June, we'll be in that phase 2 to really capture, some of that summer business. I can tell you that based on what we're hearing from the experts, folks are going to be more likely to travel by car. Think back to the future, the old-fashioned road trip where the family piles into the car with their cooler, and they decide they're going to drive, for 10, 12 hours to a destination, and they're going to get there and they're going to spend a couple of nights in a hotel and enjoy some of the attractions and some of the things that those destinations have to offer. So we're really going to have to start thinking about the messaging. We want to say, we've got this great destination that's so many hours away from you. And when you get here, things are clean, things are safe. You ought to have confidence in coming to visit. So again, I'm thinking phase 2, phase 3 being right around summertime, end of summer, so that we can try to capture the rest of the calendar year. Every day that goes by is another day lost in 2020. Yeah. And so I think, again, we have to proceed, very, very safely. And, again, the medical community has a big burden. They have to figure out the testing angle, the antibody testing, the testing to see whether, you're infected, and then a vaccine. I think something of this nature needs a drastic response, right? We were able to eradicate certain diseases over history. When you think back, rubella or polio or the measles or the mumps, where some vaccine eradicated it. Everyone in the world received the vaccine or had, availability to take the vaccine. I think you need something that drastic from the medical community to kind of obliterate this thing, so people don't have that, that anxiety in the back of their mind, that fear.
Yeah. Because even as we get into things opening up, I was already one of those kind of over OCD type, obsessed with sanitizer and germ aware, before any of this happened. Now, it kind of takes us to a whole nother level of things. Going to a hotel or doing anything, and you want to be able to relax, and you don't want to have to think about that. You don't want to have to even rent a car, and then for that matter, for a ride, let's say you were going to take a road trip, and having to sanitize the car before you got into it. I think we're all going to kind of think differently as we do anything. But you'd mentioned, as far as the road trips and bringing that back, I think if anything, and I kind of talk about this often, is the unique lessons or just the unique takeaways that come out of this. I think it's forced us all to slow down a little bit and really, reevaluate our personal lives and our families and just that time that we're spending with them and maybe taking, some of their, and many have like joked with me that at this point, after everybody working at home, that, families and everybody, maybe that won't work. I don't know, but yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I think hopefully, and I kind of joked. I didn't know if you heard me, as far as the whole Griswold and what's his name?
That's a great movie to watch. Family Vacation. Watch a National Lampoon's Family and get ready, because I hear that that's going to be the soonest mode of transportation and family vacation trips by automobiles.
What's his name? I can't even think of his name. Griswold. Yeah.
Chase.
What is it? Ed.
Clark Griswold.
Clark. There we go. Okay. That's so funny. Yeah. I want to say that's like one of your favorite movies, or like you love those, right?
Yeah, it is, because, it really shows, what the spirit of travel is. They jumped in that old station wagon, well, the new station wagon that really was a junker, and went across, Chicago over to California. And, they wanted to see everything on the way and experience everything on the way. And, family got in the way as well. So, great vacation movie. But I think, we're going to be seeing a lot of that initially, and a lot of domestic travel before we start getting into some of the international stuff. And, hopefully that'll come back, because we know that international travelers, stay longer, spend more. We were starting to really make a difference there by drawing international visitors from all over the world. So that's important as well for, airport traffic, that kind of thing. But I think, we're going to have to, take small bites out of this thing as we go on.
It'd be interesting. Yeah, getting on a plane and like that, the recirculated air. I mean, we're going to have to get quite a bit further. And not to put you on the spot, but as far as the phase 2, does that entitle for more businesses to open at that point? Okay, so and
it does. And every phase adds more commerce with precautions as well. And, with a lot of that information being fueled by the medical community, right? I mean, I think everyone's going to keep an eye on how many infections and how many deaths and, the curve. We picked up so many different new terms.
Right? I know. I'm over it. I have the social distancing, the PPE. If I hear PPE, obviously it's very important for our healthcare system. I get it. But it's just like those certain things that you hear every day, on the news, and you can go a couple days.
I think, the medical community will inform the phases.
Right.
The governor has a great, I think, plan for phasing that has a lot of medical information attached to it. We're not going to jump from phases, haphazardly and create, a situation. So I think, it's as good as any plan. I mean, you've got a plan, and then you've got to try to execute. And hopefully your plan is flexible enough where you can change it around. I mean, certainly we're going to have to do that, in our industry, because, some of the things we had planned on, we lost.
Yeah.
Some of those
with the WWE, obviously, big hit, not getting that, as hard as everyone worked to get that here.
Right.
I was going to ask, how significant and how major is that loss for us? Or does it even matter at this point? I mean, we've already seen so much loss even beyond that. Does it even matter at this point? I mean, it matters, but you know what I mean?
It obviously, the industry was prepared for, like I said, a spectacular March, right? So everybody bulked up for this incredible March. And then, we lost those pieces of business that had a huge impact. The focus now is, what can you recapture?
Right.
And in some cases, you could recapture it, but it may not be 3 or 4 years down the road, because some of these things are in rotation. They've already been bid out over 3 or 4 or 5 years. So you got to wait your turn again back in line to get it back. If you have enough time to rebook in the year, if things open up and folks want to rebook later in the year, that can happen. But then again, we've got things so booked out, for years and years and years. Now you got to find places to reposition them. Right. So it's a puzzle. I mean, you have to really try to make the pieces work.
When do you see, like, just in your opinion, when it be likely to have a convention where you could bring together hundreds of people?
Well, believe it or not, we're still holding on to 92 groups and conventions through the end of September, from June through September. Now, whether those will be actualized or not, I don't know, because again of the phasing. But some of those businesses are still on the books and have not canceled.
So I guess it's more of a wait and see, and
It is a wait and see.
even the big conventions that are probably planning on coming, it's been so much preparation for them to do it. Nobody wants to do anything prematurely and not knowing if.
Right.
But then I guess because I look for our Edge launches, and we were planning on our first annual leadership conference later in October 21st, actually. So we're trying to figure out some of those things, but we're talking 300 people or less. Some of these. And the conventions that you're bringing thousands and thousands of people together. And then you listen to some of the news that talks about sports arenas not even filling, or being able to have fans. So, what is your take on that? I want to talk about Super Bowl coming up for us at the beginning of the year, but even getting through the fall, how do you see?
I think sports events, big sports gatherings, are probably a phase 3. Yeah. I don't think those happen immediately because, again, you have so many people in attendance and distancing is an issue. So I think, large sports gatherings are probably later down the line. I don't think the governor's any rush to get there on those. But yeah, you mentioned Super Bowl, right? We have a Super Bowl here beginning of next calendar year. And, everybody's waiting to see how the NFL will launch their season, whether they launch it on time. I think they're thinking that everything's going to be a go. But again, things change day by day. So I think the commissioner of the NFL commissioners even said, how can I predict 3 months from now when it's so difficult to predict, day to day.
Right.
So I think everyone has their fingers crossed that, the NFL season will start when it's supposed to start, and that we'll have a Super Bowl here next year when it's supposed to happen, because, we're very fortunate that we have that piece of business coming to our home, to our destination, so soon after getting through some of this.
Absolutely, and hopefully it is just the right amount of time that we can kind of put some of this behind us. But it is we are just at that time where we're right into phase 1. We're lifting some of these restrictions now that we really don't know what's in store for us as some of these are restrictions are lifted. I have listened to the governor talk and I think he's right on. It sounds like he's, obviously his staff and everybody, they've really thought about what they're doing. But they've even tried to eliminate some of the, I guess, feedback or negativity in regards to opening and in his plan with 25% for restaurants. I mean, it all makes sense. All we can do is start where we can, and then just see where it goes. You can always make other transitions if needed. But thankfully, I haven't seen too much of it in Tampa, but throughout other states, you have people rioting and doing all kinds of things, which could just bring more harm, to the community. So we've got just about a minute left, Santiago. What are some of your last thoughts for us?
Again, we're going to get through this. We absolutely know we're starting to see already some light at the end of the tunnel. Tourism, hospitality, one of the most resilient industries on the face of the planet. It comes back because by human nature, we want to get out there, we want to explore, we want to experience new things. So again, it's being ready to launch, get back to, our winning record ways. And I know that we will. And I think, we have the right bones to get it done. That infrastructure is all there. It didn't go away. It's there. It just has to be clean, and it has to be there ready to welcome visitors. So we're super excited about the future. We have to be, we have to just get through this. And I think we all will.
Yeah, and one day at a time. That's really all we can do. And we are in a great position once we are able to go forward. Santiago, thank you so much for being on the show. Finally, got you on with me. Thank you so much for being a part of Getting the Edge. I'll see you soon, hopefully. All right, stay tuned. We'll be right back with Julie Weintraub with Golden Diamond Source. Thank you. Welcome back to Getting the Edge. Thank you so much for coming back with us in the second half of the show.
I'm not Julie.
John is not Julie. You hear me talk. We had some scheduling issues, and unfortunately, we were not, and connection issues. So unfortunately, we're not able to bring Julie on. So no, that's not Julie Weintraub. But this is a special opportunity. You hear me talk about John, Gaston, and the amazing team at Tampa Bay MultiMedia and WeBeam TV. I talk about them every a few minutes at the beginning of the show about how exceptional they are and how much I have valued their relationship.
Stop.
and this has been it's provided us with a great opportunity to bring John and sit him down with me and have a chance to talk.
So not prepared for this.
Yeah. So yeah.
I mean, I've got my Deadpool shirt on.
Yeah.
I've got shorts
I don't know if you can tell. You can see John's legs if you like.
Not
Look down there.
Just where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So it's all. Yeah. See, this is put together. This is not.
What to do and what not to do?
Yeah.
No.
This is the way you want to look for TV. This is not the way you want to look for TV. But
well, this is a perfect thank you for
hey.
How do you say it? Taking one for the team.
Take one for the team.
Coming
it's
on.
Not really hard. I'm sitting here with a beautiful lady. I'm good.
Thank you.
I'm really good.
Well, I'm excited. It gives us some time to talk, and
yeah.
I do spend quite a bit of time talking about you at the beginning of each show.
She does.
Yeah,
and
and
I appreciate
so
that.
I'm thankful for the opportunity to bring our message out to the community. It's Getting the Edge has been a great platform for us as we started on the radio and then transitioned into, as you would call it, Podvision.
Podvision. That's right.
Yeah. Well, so talk a little bit about Podvision. What is Podvision?
Okay, Podvision is a hybrid because everybody in the world knows what a podcast is, right?
Right.
And a lot of people don't realize that podcast started off as video back when iTunes first started. And iTunes was going to be this great reinventor of audio, or actually content online. So they started off as video. Well, when they started getting inundated with video, they're like, oh, this is a lot. And YouTube wasn't around at that point in time. No Facebook, no social media. It was just iTunes. So they're like, hey, how about we just do audio? And next thing you know, that's when the iPod started showing up. Because now you could download all your music or all your podcast, right, onto a little bitty thing that you could put music on or audio files on, which was awesome. So some of us stuck with the video side of it, and then of course podcasting has taken off, but because we're a hybrid, we make video, we make TV shows, and then turn those into a podcast. So we do double duty.
Yeah.
So one day I'm sitting there going, I don't want to call us a podcast because we're not. We're actually a television station.
Right.
So I'm like, well, why don't we blend them? How can we blend them? And then I went, Podvision. So it's podcasting and television. Podvision.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
And we've used it ever since. And
Cool.
people always feel like I have a shirt that says, do you Podvision? And then people are like, what is Podvision? So I give that same, and then they're like, well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So
well,
we're
it's
stuck with it.
When we first started out with Getting the Edge, we started out on the radio, so it was audio only. And so as podcasting, and that was 2015, I guess, when podcasting then started to become more relevant and everybody's doing it.
Yes.
It was a great opportunity to put, I guess, a face and that visual.
Well,
piece with the audio.
The one thing that everybody listening to the radio wanted to see is what goes on in the background. What do these people actually look? It's amazing. You can sit there and listen to these people for hours. I mean, I was listening to AM radio where you guys were at, and I listened to every one of those shows, but I never knew what they looked at. And everybody likes to put that face.
Yeah.
So that's when I came in and said, hey, and several clients are, let's put a camera to these. And so we just one right after another.
Yeah, and that was really before the podcasting and everything.
Yep, podcasting was just being talked about, kinda. If you were heavy iTunes back then, you understood what was going on, but there wasn't very many platforms.
Yeah.
You literally had iTunes. That was it. And back then, once podcasting started blowing up, iTunes became very particular about who came on there. Some of us were grandfathered in. I was one of the first 1,000 podcasts on iTunes when it first came out.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, I saw it coming. I'm like, oh, this is going to be awesome. And then back then, you didn't have Apple TV. You didn't have all that stuff. You just had iTunes.
Yeah.
So you could, if you were like me, who was a geek that walked around with a laptop most of the time, I didn't walk around. I knew this was coming on here, but I watched all the stuff you could watch on iTunes. I subscribed to it the whole 9 yards. I'm like, why not be in the beginning? So, but next thing you know, podcasts started blowing up audio-wise. Then you had these things like Stitcher and oh God, there was some other names that don't even exist anymore. But now you have iHeartMedia, and because they're a big podcasting platform. But if you're the big ones is if you're on iTunes, iHeartMedia, Switcher, and Google, you're good, really good.
And I am thankfully I have you and your amazing team that help handle a lot of that. So
Yes.
I'm not very familiar with much of those or what. So for those, and I should have maybe even said for those of you that don't know John's usually in the production behind
I'm the
the scenes.
voices in your ear.
Yeah, he's always here. But again, it's great to kind of pull you out from behind the curtain.
I think you just scared all your viewers. But okay, it is what it is.
I don't think so.
We do have our own shows. I actually have 4 of my own shows that we do. One very political, one very nerdy, and then
Yeah, we're neutral here,
Yes,
John.
that's right. We're neutral. And then the other ones that we do are business shows, just like this one, where we bring people in and we talk to the locals. And we just started this new one called Open for Business.
Yeah.
And that
So
one
tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so really quick backstory. We've not been affected by the coronavirus. We're open. We've been open. Matter of fact, we've been busier.
And I also want to touch too on just ways you can benefit small businesses in this time as we're trying to.
Absolutely.
But okay, go back.
Absolutely.
Open for business.
So in my house there's 6 adults. Well, they're my kids, but they're still adults, and they're all big kids. And we all take turns cooking. And Thursday night, I'm like, it was my night to cook. And I'm like, it was a long day. I didn't want to cook. So I called my buddy who owns a restaurant, and he is open. He's doing what he can. He's doing all the takeout. And I said, dude, how are you doing this? He goes, I'm starving. But I'm not throwing food away. I'm keeping my employees busy, and it's paying their bills, and I'm doing okay. So I went home and I told my wife, I said, hey, look, I think I want to do a show. I'm going to give back to the community. And with no charge whatsoever, because normally for us to come on our shows, it costs money.
Well, and for you to travel to other places.
So we're trying to, and it's amazing that every time we turn around, something's going wrong, and we're trying to figure a way to go around it in the whole 9 yards. But now we're going to businesses, especially restaurants, and we're doing these little quick, fast interviews, and then we're getting them on. Matter of fact, Open for Business will air tomorrow night. Not sure.
On Wednesdays?
Yeah. It's gonna. We're not sure the permanent home, but we're trying to put it in places where we can get it, and then we put on our social media.
Right.
And
So how long are the clips?
About 10 minutes, if
Okay.
that. And it just depends on how much, because I don't want to eat up their time. I want to be able to get in there and get it. And we literally. So you figure we'd show up with a big camera crew, but nope, it's me and my son, my youngest son, who is interning with us. But we were shooting with one of our cameras. Now we're just going to show up with our iPhone. Because I have these mobile rigs that you can go anywhere with, and they're wireless microphones, the whole 9 yards, and then get in, we get done, and we get out, and we don't bother.
Well, and it is tough to provide these services at no cost. So with you limiting,
But the 4K.
Oh yeah.
I mean 4K. I can shoot 4K with this device that we can't get rid of. So it's like. Putting it over there gives me anxiety. No, I don't.
Yeah, I just heard you a few minutes ago. You're like, "Where's my phone?"
Yeah,
I'm like, "It's out here."
Where's my phone? But yeah, so that we started that. We're gonna, but that's what we're always looking for people that want to do their own show. So I love the fact when you reached out, I'm like, Kelly's back.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to provide a platform to, like I always say, to provide some stories of trials and tribulations and just hope and inspiration. I'm always trying to be positive.
There's
as much
so
as I
many
can be,
good stories about businesses and how they were started in Tampa Bay. We are one of the meccas for startups. And I know our studio is in Port Richey, Florida, but we're everywhere. I mean, we travel all over the state. We travel all over the country.
Yeah.
And we are and I love using this word because we both had a mentor that said, use the word, I am one of the pioneers in Tampa of the live streaming world.
Yeah.
So it's, and everybody's jumping on. Well, right now, everybody's becoming a professional. It's amazing how many professionals all of a sudden come out of the woodwork. But we have been doing this since 2004.
It's interesting just
Yeah.
as you watch technology change, and a good, well, not really a good friend, but just someone that I know and have watched over the years was a photographer. Back in the days when when before technology, when you were a real photographer.
You had to go in there and put the hands in the solution to develop. Oh, yeah.
He shot all of the, back then, all of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit covers.
Yep.
I mean, but just way back in the day when you still, and I remember what he went through, just as things changed and everybody became a photographer.
Yeah.
It's interesting as we have smartphones and as everybody thinks they're expert, but we're limited.
Rob and I have been in this combined years in this industry. We probably have 70. I know I have 35 years in this world, and 20 of those years are camera, so video work. Now I came from I was a printer's kid, and so 4-color separation work. I know more about putting these things together than I ever want to, and don't ever want to do it again in my lifetime. But it's amazing that our cameras back then running $45,000 and they weighed 60 pounds, right? Now you can shoot 4K on a phone that weighs less than a pound. But yeah, everybody runs out and buys a little DSLR, and now they call themselves filmmakers.
DSLR.
That is like a Canon 30D or 50D, whatever. I don't care what D it is. If it's that, yeah. So they'll become filmmakers. And it's like, wow, I didn't have to get any training at all. I could just become a filmmaker. This is awesome.
Right.
This is woo. But but it does. It makes a difference. When you're trying to use someone like ourselves, or or someone like JL, which is here locally. You got years of experience behind you.
Yeah.
That's like me coming to you and going, hey, I know you have done magazines your whole life, but how about we go and be bakers?
Right.
Really? No.
Well, and it's interesting. I think I've dealt with that some, even from the printing versus digital, and trying to, when you, I don't know, it's hard to let go, but you just learn the value of both.
Yeah, I've watched you guys that are in the print world slowly bring on the whole acceptance of we can do this online. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
it's definitely much more cost effective to not print, but the tangible to actually, it's hard for me to even read a book if it's not like
you like the paper feel.
I do.
Don't
yeah.
you?
I want to flip the pages
Yeah.
and enjoy it that way. Yeah. In fact, I will buy a book through Amazon or any local places that I'm able to before I will order that online. Or audio or
my wife
Kindle
is
or whatever people use.
Exact same way. Before she will put it on her phone or tablet, which she still has a Kindle, right? But before she'll get any of that, she wants the hardbound.
Yeah.
Because
then you get to put it on the shelf.
Yes.
Right. So if you don't have a shelf to put it on, how do you know that you read it?
That's
it's
correct.
like it's an accomplishment.
Right.
Right.
It's a
so
trophy.
I know they have bookshelves in our phones, right? But that's no fun.
Nope. It's like it's an achievement.
Yeah.
And you can say, I read that.
Well, and then you can reference it. And that is, I guess, where maybe some of the millennials are a little easier to, it's maybe okay for them to have a virtual bookshelf. They can pull the file when they need it. I mean, not so much.
No.
There's some of those old school ways that.
I'm the same way with video. Movies that come out, I'll go buy the DVD because I want it.
Yeah.
I want that. If one day someone flips the switch and this is gone, guess what? All your movies are gone.
Yeah.
Everything's gone. So with me, I can go over the shelf and go, oh, look, this is my favorite movie.
Yeah. No, me
And
too. I like the DVDs.
Huh.
But there is some convenience to having. I didn't see it much earlier, but I'm seeing it now. I do.
Yeah.
Being able to just.
Oh, I'll go get both. But that DVD that's my backup. That's something that I can always. I still have VHS tapes.
I do too. I don't have anything to watch them on.
I do.
Though. I still have the album, the LPs, whatever you call them.
I went and bought a brand new VCR a couple years ago, and it's never been out of the box. But I have it just in case. I probably have 500 VHSs that are just stored away in a cool place so they don't rot and tear up. And then I have all the DVDs. And then
I got a couple betas.
Wow.
I have Urban Cowboy and I have Flashdance.
No way.
Yes, I do. And Grease, I think. I might even have that one too. But those were like...
I do have one laser disc.
Oh.
I have nothing to play it on, but I still have it because I want that.
We're really aging ourselves.
That was so much money back then.
Yeah.
But, hey.
I remember walking out of the movie theaters, like with Flashdance, especially. I'm with my father, and they would have a little area where you could go then and pay your $80 and sign up to pre-order the beta,
right?
Max, beta tape, whatever it was called. That would come out shortly after. I mean, but literally, you're going to wait 6 months. It was $80 or whatever it was, or something crazy. But I remember my father and I going into that line and him buying me the Flashdance beta because I had to have it.
Did it come with the little socky thing?
I got a poster or something. Yeah. Like the movie, like from the movie, and then you got to hang that on your wall. And
that was a hot movie back then.
Yeah, but yeah. And it's so funny. It was on HBO, one of those, and I DVR'd it, recorded it, and actually, put it so it wouldn't erase, like nobody can ever go in.
You locked it.
Yeah, I locked it.
Yep.
But then I thought, I don't really want to watch. Who would have thought paying $80 for a movie back then, and now it's. So going back to, as we're reminiscing, I remember like early 2000s, probably. I don't remember, but when Netflix just started and we were doing the
DVDs.
rent so many DVDs a month, and I remember it giving you an option to stream, and thinking, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
What would I do it on?
What would I watch it
how
on?
would that work? Right.
Yeah.
And then who'd have thought, all these years later, you'd almost prefer, to stream versus, I don't know. And have you noticed, though, too, the DVDs sometimes play differently?
Yep, they sure do.
They don't, most of the time, they don't take up my whole screen.
Nope,
or
they're
is it
16
something
by
I'm
9
doing?
theater. It's the black bars.
Oh.
Yeah. Yep. Well, you can fix that. There's some TV settings. You go in there, it'll go full screen for you.
Okay. Because that is...
That's the geek in me going, I don't like the black bars.
Yeah.
I'll do the stretch and give me the full
Oh, so you could stretch it and fix it.
Yep.
But you got to know how to do that.
Yep.
Well, that would take me figuring out something else.
So how's it been going with the Edge? I mean, I know how's it been going. I mean, the one thing that she never does is she never gives herself kudos about what she's doing and who she's reaching. And so I'm telling you, I know we have good guests, but some of the guests you have come on are absolutely phenomenal.
No,
I mean, it's
thank you.
how did you get them? Because I've tried and couldn't. But Kelly goes, I'll make a phone call. It's all good. Let me make a phone call, and then boom, they're on.
I've being almost, just about 7 years now in the community, Edge is completely built on relationships. And I am so grateful for all of the amazing relationships and support that we've had over the years. I couldn't have done it without the community. And that's, I feel like it's almost, as a single mother, crazy business owner, I feel like I think I do the long division method of everything, where it takes me a little longer to get where I'm trying to go, but I'd like to think that I do things organically, and that you build that foundation first, and then, I'm okay without immediate results. I don't need instant gratification. I've learned patience and just,
You'll get there.
I'll get there.
And the way you get there makes a difference. You can get there by knowing and understanding and really do know the people that come on your show, versus someone that you just called up, said, hey, can they be on? Then they come in, they have no idea who you are. You're trying to make a relationship work on TV, which it's hard. You do it, but when you know them, you're like, oh, it's just so much simpler to talk to them.
Well, and that's what I usually tell people prior to even coming on. I'm like, it's just like we were talking the other day,
right.
So it's really no different. You were going to act like it's just you and me, and people they can get very nervous when you talk about cameras. Or
Well, you have it. Next week, you're talking to Michael Murphy, right? And
Michael Murphy Gallery, right?
Yeah. That dude was, I filmed it, so I helped you film it, and we everybody does a little pre-filming, and I was like, you thought you two had known each other for years.
We have.
And it's just like,
yeah.
Okay, Michael, it's time to go. We got to get going. Come on. What are you waiting on? I got 3 minutes. No, we're supposed to start this. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like going, now I know who the guy is, and to me, in that world, he's a big deal. He is a big deal.
Yeah.
Right. But you're talking to him like, Come on, let's go. Come on.
Michael's been one of my closest friends for over a decade. But, and I think that is, you don't just, sometimes you meet people in business. I bond with everybody. And I think when you have a natural, genuine desire to really get to know other people, I don't do anything transactionally. Everything that I do is to build relationships and kind of genuine. And I think people see that and they
I've actually taken your style. Before I was all about, I was very transactional. I was like, well, okay, you got to pay to, because most of our shows, you got to pay to be on. If you're a guest, you got to pay. Mm-hmm. That's just what it is, because we give that back to them and they get to use it for their social media. So I'm giving you a service. But I've started doing that more transactional side, or not transactional, but more of the relationship. And we had on Josh, what is Josh? Schofield from The Hive. And that dude was just awesome. But because I was just trying to be understanding and more personable, I got more out of that than ever.
Yeah.
And that dude was just, that was a great interview for that guy.
I think sometimes when you don't have expectations, going forward, we all have businesses to run, yes. But I think the relationships and where that can, when there are no expectations, I just feel like it can, you're able to just be natural and nurture things. Yeah. And that can lead to other work and different scopes of different things together, because we all definitely, I think one of the other things why Edge is still here after all these years is collaboration. And if I haven't had the resources to be able to do everything, but I've been able to partner and bring in those around me that do, and we're able then to grow and kind of build together. Versus it being a one-sided benefit by anything. Right. And we, not to say we don't charge for Edge or getting the Edge, and getting the Edge mainly is a benefit of our community partnerships,
correct,
which are only $5.98 a year and very reasonable. But there are so many other benefits a part of that. Getting the Edge is one of them. But then there's so many other things that you can be a part of with the magazine and with our events. And
your website's monstrous.
Yeah, thank you.
That is, when you rebranded, I was a little nervous. I'm just going to be honest with you. I was like, oh boy, she's going to change something that's been working really, really good. Don't do this. And the law is you don't do. But when you change it, and it just knocked it out of the water, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. Yeah, it's great information, and you're given, if the community doesn't know about it, which I don't know anybody. Every time I've ever mentioned the Edge magazine or getting the Edge, they're like, oh yeah, we know who that is. We know Kelly. I'm like, Kelly knows everybody.
Thank you, John.
Oh, you're welcome, but it's the truth. It's like, holy cow.
Well, I've been a crazy woman on a mission for a long time. You have to be a crazy person to endure and really be a single mother with no parachute and just go for it, because you have such a strong belief and faith that you are ultimately here to help other people fulfill their missions.
Yeah.
And when you have that strong pull, anything's possible, and you just keep going.
Your women's edition there was just, that's just off the chain. All those people that are in there.
Actually, thank you, but that's one of the things that we have found. We do 3 issues a year, and that's good for us. We don't pop them out every month. We want them to be valuable per each episode, issue, all those things in issue.
We take care of the day-to-day with the show.
Right, yeah.
The day-to-day is, I consider the day-to-day for the Edge, the show. And then the big meat, the big steak dinner is three times a year.
Yeah.
And when it comes out, it's...
Well, and that's, we've been able, instead of doing 1 or 2 people on a cover, we put 10 people on a cover. And we're able to bring in some amazing...
look at that. That's all the nonprofits. Where's my camera at? There it is. That's huge. And I got a blinky over there, so we only got 4 minutes left. But Yeah. I mean, that's just all the nonprofits.
Yeah.
And then you have the ladies over there.
Yeah,
that
we
was
had,
just-
and really happy to have our Tampa mayor
Yeah.
included in that one as well. Phenomenal women. I mean, it gives us an opportunity to really highlight multiple people and not just one. But so really, we do 4 issues a year,
Yeah.
but we bring in 10 people on each front cover, so we're able then to highlight 30 people throughout the year versus 12 if we did it monthly and just highlighted one person. So, and plus, actually, one thing I'm very proud on too is that through our sponsors and advertisers, we're able to give away 5 ads each issue as well. So the back pages for all of the issues, we choose local nonprofits that could not normally or otherwise be able to afford their own advertising,
Right.
and we provide and create the ads for them, or even small businesses that might be starting out that wouldn't necessarily have a budget to pay the $8.75 or whatever it may cost for
Yep.
a small ad, and we give it to them.
And that's good.
So we try to do what we can.
So-
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
It takes a village, right?
It's definitely we did invest and build towards a lot as we built out the new website and
Right.
tried to get that right. And anyway, so it's as we talked to so many businesses, they were all in a particular mindset at the beginning of the year, and we have shifted that a little bit as we all have had to. But I am really excited. This has been one conversation where we really have not talked much about today's and what's going on. So I think we'll just stay with that.
Yeah.
Because
Well, I'm just going to say this. Finally, everybody understands what I do for a living.
yeah, well,
People are like, what do you...
It only
I
took a
don't-
pandemic,
I don't-
John.
Yeah, I don't understand. Well, I said, well, okay, now... I said, well, I'm zooming here, and I'm zooming here, and we're streaming this. I'm like, well, welcome to my world.
yeah. Well, and we've been
Cool.
pushing and promoting as well. It's been, and like, this is really the most cost-effective way to have a voice and to have content. Everybody talks
Right.
about needing content, right? We
Right.
all want content. Well, this is an opportunity for us to create content for ourselves that promote on our social media, on our websites, and it's also valuable for all of the people that are a part of the show, your partners, your sponsors, your customers, clients, whatever you call them. It really is value. You hear
I call
daily.
them hostages. No, I'm just teasing.
You hear daily about content. Well, this is a great
content
opportunity
is
to have
king.
content.
I mean, if right now, especially with the world of social media, social media is a starving entity
Yeah.
that can never have enough content.
Yeah.
And that's just the truth.
Well, and you constantly have to find ways to be relevant and to
Yep.
stay on top of things. And one of the best ways to stay relevant is to have a weekly or daily or however you want to do it.
Yeah, we have some clients that are daily.
Yeah.
And then we have some like yourself that are weekly. We don't have any bi or monthlies because it's just not enough. You need that constant getting in front of people. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I said, I've been very happy with it, and it's great.
You're probably one of our. I would say you're probably one of our. We produce 22 shows, and you're in the top 5. So that's
to know.
pretty good.
Yeah. Good to know. Well, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
being here with me. And
I had fun, even though I wasn't ready for it.
yeah, well, it was a great opportunity to come on, and like I said, you're always behind the curtain. It's great to kind of pull you out and bring you on and have you talk. And obviously, we have your website and all of your information up, and
You're watching it, so if you're watching the show, you're on the WeBeam TV.
that's right. And you can always, for more information, check out and reach out to John Gaston and his amazing team. They'd be happy to send you any additional information
we'll help
that you
you.
might need. So.
We'll help you get the word out. No worries.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for being with us today. Thank you so much for being a part of Getting the Edge. Check out edgemediahub.com for more information. We will see you soon. Until next time, never stop dreaming. Thank you.